Hi class, this time we're going to discuss 1.10, while loops. We're going to use while loops not only in Carol but later in Java. So we're going to use this to repeat code while a condition is true. So think about real life. If I wanted to do something while something is true, well, let's say it's raining out. While it's raining, I use an umbrella. Or while it's sunny, I go outside. Something like that, something real life example. We're going to write our while loops much like this. See, similar to a function declaration, similar to how we wrote our if commands. And let's take a look at some of the code examples, just so we can go through how it works. So here we have public class move to world Carol extends super Carol. Let's run it, see what happens. While front is clear, we have front's clear, front's clear, front's clear, front's clear. And he stops moving once he hits the wall. So let's take a look at the actual structure here. Of course, we have our run command, and here we have our while loop. So in here goes a condition, something that it returns true or false. This is called a Boolean. The idea is it's a logical element. Is this true or false? While it's true, we do it. While it's false, we stop and we exit the loop. So let's say we had him turn left or turn right afterwards, just so we can see how this works. So while the front is clear, he's moving forward. The front, we hit the wall, he stops, exits the loop, and does our turns like we asked him to. So remember how I said in 1.9 we wouldn't use a while loop in this marathon Carol code. Well, let's take a look what happens if we would. While front is clear, I don't want a semicolon, remember that. Move. So this time he's going to move to the end, and he's going to move too far. We don't want him to move this far. Can't write while front is clear. I typoed. This should be lowercase. Remember our lower camel case. Lower first word, capital start, capital start. Gonna run the marathon very fast. Oops, went way too far. He should be 3 back. Remember, we had moved far, that moved him exactly the right spot, rather than a while loop that moves him nowhere way too far. So let's get rid of that and return back to 1.10. Now let's take a look at our docs. So again, we have a lot of useful information here. So let's take a look at our conditions. See, at our conditional statements we have, where's our while loops? Not in our documentation. While loops. There we go. Condition. So check out once the condition is no longer true, it will stop. Let's take a look at our conditions. Carol conditions. So these are all technically methods that are written behind the scenes in the super Carol class, the Carol class. So a class is something that has a lot of methods baked into it. It's an object. When we get into our object-oriented programming, that will make more sense. But for the most part, what we want to know here is that Carol has these methods written that will return true or false depending on whether the condition is true or false. So while a condition that's true or false, we do something. We have front is clear, left is clear, right is clear, so we can have him check any direction except behind him. Front is blocked, left is blocked, right is blocked. You could see we have the true on the left or false on the right, depending on how you want to use it. If you want him to turn once you hit a wall, you would use the blocked. When we get into Java, you could do something like this, exclamation point to negate it, and if it returns true, it will instead be false. If it returns false, it will instead be true. But we just have these commands. What direction is he facing, and there's balls present or not for Carol. So let's move on to the next part. So here's one of the assignments from 1.10. Follow the yellow ball road. Written in comments above the class, we can see that we just want to follow the balls that kind of form a road, and when he's not on a tennis ball, he stops. I don't think it's necessary to really blow this one up, because it's very clear he just wants to move from here to here. Now we could cheat and write a for loop that makes us move, or just move 6 times, but of course we're studying while loops, so let's do that. Does the exercise tell us anything different? At the end of the program, Carol will have reached the end of the road. This must work for any length road. So if you're not familiar with the different worlds, I think this might be the first time it's introduced. We have 3 different worlds that the code must also work for. So here there's no balls at all, so he shouldn't move. Here there's 3 balls. So if we did write that if loop, we would see that it would work for this one, but it wouldn't work for the rest. And just quickly, I'll show it with a for loop, not an if loop, like I just said. See, it works here, but if I switch to a different road, hey, this is wrong. So let's show the correct way to do this. We're using while loops, right? So while, let's put a condition there in a second. Open up our brackets. While we're on a ball, we want to move. Check our docs again. What conditions do we have for balls? Balls present. Okay, so while ball's present, we just want to move. Works on road 3, works on road 2, and works on that original road. And we should see that we did it right. So why don't I just show a method version of it, just so we get more practice. I'm going to call it off-roading because, well, we want him to get off the road. And I guess it's kind of silly sounding. I'll Control X to cut and save it to the clipboard, paste it in, and let's have Carol do some off-roading. Boom. And continue. Shall I do one more? Yeah, why not? So he wants to turn left one time for each tennis ball that is present. Here we have a world with no balls. These worlds, we can't really see how many balls. So sometimes we don't know our conditions, so that's why a while loop comes in handy. We could write an if loop of the different size stacks we need, but we could just write a loop that that works for however many balls there are. So there's really no way to kind of set a counter in Carol. We can't kind of use a variable to detect the balls and then count down. So we have to use a while loop. So remember our quick docs, we have all our conditions down here too. We also have example code. We could copy and paste it if we want. So look here, for example, we have the front is clear. We can move to a wall. So let's just copy this, see what happens. Write my code here. Let's overwrite the comment. Well, I copied a lot of things. I don't like that, do you? No. While our condition. While what? Well, while ball's present. For every ball that is present, we have to do something. We have to turn left once. So ball's present. I think just like last time. It's a method, so we call it like that. And what do we want to do? Well, it always wants to turn left per ball. But how are we going to tell how many balls there are? We don't really know. Well, if we take the ball away, it'll turn left, then take a ball. And then as the balls leave, we're able to stop spinning. We got it. Works on the empty world, works on this world. 5 and 4. I still have no idea. Well, that one was obvious. It only turned once. I really don't know how many there were here or on world 5. But that's not important because we used a while loop to do it no matter how many balls there were. Works good. We could have written a method, but I think we kind of get the idea from the last one. And I'll leave the last two for you to figure out.